In this lecture, I want to talk about the power of using something called float. So this is a way of basically describing how you want your elements to sit next to each other. So as you can see in the CSS file, I haven't put any floating in there at the moment. What I've done is I have a paragraph, and within that paragraph I've put an image and then some text. And it kind of makes sense that it starts with the image and then the text goes alongside it. So now what if I wanted this chicken to go on the right hand side of the text? Well, let's try using float. So I'm going to tell the image I want it to float to the right. As you can see, it's now moved over to the right hand side of the screen. So now if I want it to float left, it's going to move to the left. Fantastic. So all you have to do when you have elements like this, you just tell them how you want them to float next to each other. Let's look at another example now. I'm going to use 3 images. So use one image, and I'm just going to copy and paste this. So I'm going to use the chicken again, chicken.jpg, and then I downloaded a picture of a polar bear and one of a lamb. So as you can see, what you've got going on here is you've got, oh, there we go, typo there, JPG. You can see it's all a slight mess, so I'm just going to remove this paragraph. So there you'll see that we have all of these sitting nicely next to each other. We have this and I'm going to float one of these images on the left. But I'm going to specify it for the polar bear. So I'm going to put in the image tag, class equals, and I think I called it left image, yep. So what do you think is going to happen when I refresh this page? Take a guess. Yay! So basically what's happened is this image that's got the class left image that's being told to float to the left, well, that's going to go mostly to the left. Now what do you think is going to happen if I add this to the lamb.jpg? So you might be surprised. Was left image. Okay. So you can see the lamb's moved to the middle. It hasn't moved furthest to the left. And the reason for that is that the polar bear is also being told to float left, and it's occurring before the lamb. So that means it's overriding the lamb in terms of position. So that's important to notice. So if I were to remove the float left for the polar bear now, the lamb would move over to the left. So in this lecture, we've gone over how to use float. You can tell elements to float to the left or the right in comparison to the elements around it. So it's very useful for using if you want to float an image next to text, or you want to float them next to each other. And we're going to be doing a practical about this relatively soon. So I recommend that you have a go at this yourself, download a few images, and play around with making them float next to each other. So have a go at that, and I'll see you in the next lecture.